So welcome. I'm your host, Jillian. I am a certified health and life coach, and I help busy professionals break the habit of turning to food for comfort and get their health back on track so they can love their body again. So today's class is going to help you sip smart and satisfy all of those cocktail cravings during dry January and beyond. And if you're trying to cut back on alcohol, maybe you're doing dry January, you might start to wonder, well, what do I drink now? How else can I unwind at the end of the day if I'm not having my usual glass of wine, right? So today we're going to be making 3 tasty alcohol-free drinks. That way you have something to mix up anytime you're craving something a little bit more special during those moments. And I'm also going to share some ways to cut back on alcohol so you have more energy, less brain fog, and that way it's a lot easier to stay on track with your health goals without sacrificing all of the fun and social interaction that often comes with having a drink. So a couple housekeeping things. If you see me looking down, it's because I have a ton of notes for you and I don't want to miss anything. And I don't want to tell you the wrong drink recipe. I have it written down for myself as well. And as far as questions go, I'm going to walk you through each step of making the drinks in real time with you. But if anything is unclear, you have any questions, just feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. I'm going to be in and out of like presentation mode. So if I don't see your question in the chat, just feel free to unmute. I'm not ignoring you, I swear. But yes, and then at the end, I'm going to save some extra time for Q&A if you have any other questions for me. So make sure to like write down your questions so you don't forget. And this is meant to just be a fun and interactive class. And I know you'll walk away with at least one nugget of wisdom, if not more. So just feel free to engage in the chat, make a friend, have fun. It's Friday, right? So, and like I said, if you have any questions, just feel free to unmute yourself. So as a certified health and life coach, helping people feel more energized and be more active and have a healthier relationship with food, I see a lot of people struggling with turning to food for comfort. Most of us have used food in some way, one or another, to relax or feel better at the end of the day, right? I know I have, call the chocolate calls when you are wanting a moment to sit down and relax, right? And here and there, comfort eating is not a bad thing, but when it becomes this habit that we go to over and over, it can become a problem. So I love helping, people find a healthier satisfaction in other areas of their life in ways that doesn't rely on them having to reach for the chocolate or the wine or the potato chips, although I love all of those things, so we're not knocking them, right? And this is what we tend to do in my one-on-one program. I will be sharing more about that later on in the class, just in case you want some extra support and accountability after this to get your health back on track. So you might be thinking, if I'm going to get healthier, then that means I have to give up all of the foods that I love. I've heard this many times, but the reality is you really don't. So this diet mentality, we'll call it, is really based on deprivation, right? The diet mentality tells us all the things that you don't get to have, and you can have this instead. Welcome, Kathleen. Hi. And instead of this diet mentality of thinking what you don't get to have, I want to invite you to reframe that and just think, what are all of the things that I get to have instead that will help me feel energized and alive? So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to be showing you 3 alternatives with healthier ingredients. That way, you have something as an alternative that actually tastes good, right? And makes healthy eating a little bit easier. So let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the drink recipes and ingredients list into the chat so that you have those. It's 2 different documents. And now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see the ingredients and a few other notes as we go along. Give me a second. All right. So first, we're going to be making the rosemary honey infused simple syrup. So these are the tools and ingredients that you're gonna need. I'm gonna walk you through. I'm gonna tilt my camera on over here. So we've got just a small saucepan here, is what I have. We're gonna put 1 cup of water in here and turn it up to medium-high heat to get it to like a low boil simmer. So go ahead and get this started. Okay. So 1 cup of water and 2/3 cup of honey. We're gonna try and get this up to a simmer as quickly as possible here. So for normally for simple syrup, it's like a 1-to-1 ratio using white sugar. And we're using honey today instead. So honey is a little bit better for you than white sugar. It's naturally antibacterial. It's good for you, for your immune system. If you can't tell, I have a little bit of a cold right now that I'm fighting off. And honey is great for all of those things. Can make a little bit of a mess. Just go ahead and get that put in there. And then we're just gonna stir until the honey is dissolved into the water a little bit. So the reason you can't just put straight honey into your cold drinks is because it will congeal and firm up and it won't mix easily into your drink. So by turning it into a simple syrup, it will mix easily. And like I said, this is like a little bit better for you. So go ahead and give that honey a stir in the water. And once that starts to kind of melt into the water a little bit, then we're gonna put in some rosemary sprigs. All right. So we got rosemary, got some sprigs of rosemary here. I'm gonna go ahead and just stop sharing my screen for a second so that you can see maybe a little bit better. Okay. So we've got some rosemary here. Kind of looks like it comes from a pine tree, right? We're gonna be infusing our simple syrup with rosemary, give it some extra flavor. I put like 3 sprigs or so into this honey simple syrup. You can already hear it kind of coming up to a bit of a simmer. Just gonna give it a stir, and we're gonna bring it up to temperature until it just starts to boil. Ideally, if you could do this ahead of time and just make your honey simple syrup and then store it in the fridge and you have it whenever you want to just put it into a cocktail, that's great. I think it should last for about 2 weeks or so if you don't drink it before the 2 weeks is up. But since we're kind of short on time for this, we're just gonna bring it up to a simmer, let it simmer for just like a minute or so, because it's already boiling right now. And then we're gonna turn off the heat and let it steep for at least 10 minutes or so while we make another drink. Okay, so it's already boiling and honey tends to foam up and boil very easily. So just go ahead and shut off the heat. You can't tell. It's already bubbling away. So we've shut off the heat and we're just gonna set this aside, let it steep with the rosemary in it and let it cool while we go ahead and make another drink. Okay, so next we're going to make what we call the citrus ginger fizz. I'm gonna go ahead and put the ingredients into the chat for the citrus ginger fizz, so that you have that in case you're following along and making these with me. Okay. So the citrus ginger fizz. I'm gonna go ahead and move my laptop. That way you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. It's funny, I have my computer propped up on a box of wine bottles or wine glasses, ironically. But, all right. Okay. So we have our citrus ginger fizz. What you're going to start with is the cocktail shaker here. And we are going to be putting some fresh juice in here. So this is where we get our workout in. We're going to be squeezing some citrus. So we've got fresh lemon juice and fresh orange juice. We've got 2 ounces of fresh lemon juice. Depends how big and juicy the limes or the lemons are, maybe like 1 to 2 lemons, maybe 1. And a helpful tip is to get some of the juices flowing in the fruit. Go ahead and like roll it against the cutting board, and that'll help get the juices to come out a little bit easier. You won't need quite as much elbow grease. So you can use, I like to use one of these when I'm making a single or double drink. It has like a mini measuring cup with ounces on it. Or you can like just juice it directly in here. The juice kind of tends to fly everywhere, but I actually have a cocktail shaker with ounce measurements on it, so I'm going to do it directly into here. So we're going to do about 2 ounces of fresh lemon juice. And lemon juice is so good for you, as I'm sure everybody's told you. Lemon water first thing in the morning is very trendy. I think in part thanks to all those celebrities out there, right? These lemons are actually from my parents' tree. They are very organic and very juicy. All right, so that's about 2 ounces. I didn't even take that much. And then we're gonna need 2 ounces of orange juice. I'm juicing a fresh orange. It's a lot better for you using the fresh juice versus a bottled juice. But you know, if you're making these for a big crowd, of course, you could take a shortcut, get like a nice quality orange juice that doesn't have a bunch of, you don't want high fructose corn syrup in there and other crap. Yes, stay away from that. And then this is a little too big for my juicer, so I think I'm just gonna do this into here. So about 2 ounces of fresh orange juice. This drink is very good if you're like me. Ooh, just got a whole chunk of orange in there. Get that out. If you're like me and you have a little bit of a cold, this is a perfect cold remedy. Been fighting it off for the last week and a half. Okay. You might need like 1 orange, maybe 1.5, but I think we need 1 more orange. Juice this guy. This can tend to kind of fly everywhere, so try and keep it contained as much as possible. All right, there we go. All right, so we've got 2 ounces of lemon juice, 2 ounces of orange juice, and now we're gonna add ginger. So this is ginger root. Fresh ginger is so good for you. I have a little bitty piece here that I'm still gonna grate off of. So what you wanna do is peel off that outer part, the brown part, so just to expose the inner light yellow portion. So just kind of chop off the outside bits here. You don't need that much unless you just really love ginger like me and you really want to get it spicy. So we've got a little bit of ginger here. We're just gonna grate it directly into the drink. So you can do as much or as little as you like, depending on how spicy you want it. And what you'll notice when you zest it on this little citrus zester, it'll all get stuck on the back of it. So just bang it to get it off into your cocktail shaker. Right into, oh, and of course it like went everywhere. See, I like to clean as I go. This is why I would never make like a good bartender for real, because I like to clean as I go, so it takes like a little bit longer. But you know, I like doing it at home. I'm with you guys. So just go ahead and add however much ginger you want in there. All right. And then, this is optional, but I like to put a little bit of turmeric and cayenne. Turmeric is very good for you. Don't do this directly on a white countertop, by the way, because turmeric will stain yellow. Ask me how I know. So just be careful with that. But turmeric is very good for you, and it adds like a nice, pretty yellow color. And then if you like a little spice in your drink, cayenne pepper is really good. Like I said, I have a cold, so I am like, bring it on. It sounds great right now. If you don't like any spice in your drink, you could totally leave it out. And now we are going to add some ice to the cocktail shaker. We're going to shake it. Right. And then we're going to shake it for about 30 seconds or so. I don't know if I can you guys see me okay? Hopefully you guys can see me on the screen okay. Okay, awesome. I have my other iPad over here and it just a little funny. I want to make sure. Okay. All right, so we're going to shake this for about 30 seconds or so, just to get it nice and cold. You can either do it over the sink. I think that should be fine if we just do it here. This is where you get your workout into, so work those arm muscles. And this will help thin out the citrus juices a little bit too with a little bit of water. All right, now we're going to add it to a tall glass with some ice in it. And just go ahead and strain it into this glass. Such a pretty yolk. And then you'll see there's a little bit of room at the top. So then we're going to take some ginger beer. So ginger beer, even despite the name, you know, has no alcohol in it. If you wanted to cut back on sugar, we're not going to be putting that much into this drink. It's just to top it off. And it's very tart as it is right now. But if you wanted to cut back on the sugar even more, you could definitely do like a ginger flavored seltzer. Make sure this doesn't go everywhere. Oh my God, you guys, I'm afraid this is gonna go everywhere. I did this yesterday and like almost flew everywhere. Hello. It's a party now. All right, so we got our ginger beer. We almost died opening that, but here we are. Go ahead and top it off with the ginger beer, just a little bit, or seltzer, whatever you like. And then give it a little stir. And then I like to garnish it with a lemon slice. Something just to make it pretty, you know? So go ahead and top that off. And there we go. This is the citrus ginger fizz. This is probably one of my favorites. Nice and tart. If you didn't want to put ginger beer in here, you could do the seltzer. It'll definitely be more tart then, because the ginger beer provides a little bit of extra sugar to sweeten it up, because that lemon juice is obviously very tart. But you could also just put a little, maybe ½ ounce or so of the simple syrup. You could do that as well. Or if you just like it super, super tart, by all means. I love a good tart drink. So that's your first drink. Cheers. All right. So now that our rosemary simple syrup has been cooling, first, before we do that, I'm gonna grab my computer and I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, so your first tip for cutting back on alcohol. So sometimes we might be reaching for an alcoholic drink because we just want something a little bit more special. Going a step further and adding a special touch, like a pretty garnish, can really make it feel like a treat. Things like fresh fruit, dried citrus, edible flowers even, mini umbrellas, whatever vibe you're going for. Just, I think taking it a step further and making it feel like something that's special makes a huge difference. I know for me, like last weekend, my husband took me to a nice restaurant here in Los Angeles as part of his Christmas present to me, and I'm doing dry January. And normally I would get like one nice cocktail when we go out to a restaurant. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to just order water. Like we had gone to a museum before and all they had was, either like tap water or hot tea. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. And so I wanted to have a mocktail, right? I wanted something that felt like a little bit more special, a little bit more ceremonious, for a special occasion. So sometimes just as something as simple as having that garnish on your drink, put it in a wine glass, whatever you have to do to just make it feel like it's more special than your usual. And this drink in particular, the citrus ginger fizz, has some really good health benefits. It's got immunity boosting ingredients like the turmeric, the ginger, lemon juice, orange juice, and fresh fruit juices have a lot more nutrients than their bottled mixers, and they don't have preservatives. And I think that's also really important to make a point of looking at the nutrition labels and the ingredients that are on there when you are looking at packaged goods and bottled mixers, and just kind of being aware of what's in there if you are buying something that is pre-mixed. And this drink is also great at reducing inflammation. So obviously lemon juice is really acidic, but once the body processes it, it has an alkalizing effect. And having that in your diet can help kind of balance out your pH. So a lot of the foods that we tend to eat do cause a lot of acid or acid producing in our bodies, a lot of processed food, for example. And this can really help balance that out a little bit and reduce inflammation. So the next drink we're gonna make is the pomegranate cloud. So we're gonna be using this rosemary honey simple syrup that we had set aside over there. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm gonna share with you guys the tools and ingredients for the pomegranate cloud, just in case you're following along. Make it a little bit easier. Okay. I'm gonna move my computer, so you can get a better view. All right. Okay, the pomegranate cloud. So the first step, if you want, is to go ahead and strain out. I mean, it's easy enough just to make the drink to kind of just pour it straight out of here because the rosemary stays pretty well intact. Again, if you have longer, let it steep for up to an hour if possible to really infuse with that rosemary flavor. We don't have that much time, so I can actually smell the rosemary already, so it's totally fine. But you can use a strainer like this and just strain it into a jar and keep it in your fridge for a couple of weeks and just pour it into a drink. I actually did this with all of the leftover that I have. I made tea last night and I just put a little bit of rosemary honey simple syrup in there. It was perfect. So you can do that. First, go ahead and like rinse out the cocktail shaker if you are using it. We're going to start with the cocktail shaker, but with no ice in it. Okay. I love this drink. It's so pretty, which you will see in a moment. Okay. So no ice in the cocktail shaker just yet. So first, we're going to be using pomegranate juice. And I know what you're thinking. Bottle juice, didn't we just talk about this? So 2 reasons. One, I don't know about you, but I am not juicing a pomegranate because why would I do that? I have better things to do with my time. You can if you want, but I think, like I said earlier, I think this is a good lesson in just being more aware of what is on the ingredient list in our packaged foods. So when I look at the ingredients list on this, it's 100% pomegranate juice from concentrate. So, water added. But there's no other preservatives or weird things that I can't pronounce that are added into this. There's no added sugar added into this. It's just pomegranate juice. So in that case, I feel like this is perfectly fine to use. If you were to buy like a bottle of lime juice and things like that, usually they'll have something in there to preserve it for a little bit longer. So we're going to do give it a shake before I unscrew the lid. And then 2 ounces of pomegranate juice. And now we're going to do some fresh lime juice. I love lime juice, so good. So about 2 ounces of fresh lime juice, depending on how big and juicy the limes are, maybe like 2 to 3 limes, but mine are kind of small. Probably will need at least 3 or 4, but we'll see. So it's like a little bit more work, to make one of these, but I think it tastes a heck of a lot better. Trust me, I always make drinks like this that are as fresh as possible. And then when you go out, someplace and you have like the stuff with mixers in it, oh my God, you can tell the difference. Those are not good. Especially, I'm not partial to a margarita with sweet and sour mix. I always make it with fresh lime juice when it's not dry January. Fresh juice makes such a difference. It is worth that little extra bit of effort. Okay. So yeah, trying to get about 2 ounces or so. Add a little extra tartness. All right, maybe 1 more. Ooh, this is a juicy one, you can tell. All right, about 2 ounces of lime juice. And now we need a little bit of that honey simple syrup. So I already have it kind of put into this jar over here. So we're going to do about 1.5 ounces of rosemary honey simple syrup. Give or take however much, depending on how sweet you like it or not sweet. And then our weird ingredient that's going to make this super fun is aquafaba. So what the heck is aquafaba, Jillian, you ask? It is the liquid from a can of chickpeas or garbanzo beans. And I know that might sound very strange, but this is what's going to create the foam in the drink, hence the name cloud. So this is kind of a good replacement, like when you go out and you have an egg white in your drink. But this is vegan. You don't have to crack an egg and worry about having raw egg in your drink. And it makes it really, really fun. And it doesn't taste weird, I promise. Probably best to get the reduced sodium if you had to pick, but it really doesn't matter. You're only going to put about 3/4 of an ounce of aquafaba, which again is just this chickpea liquid. All right, so there's no ice in here. First, we're gonna do a dry shake, which just simply means to shake without ice. And I highly recommend doing this over the sink because ice is what creates the vacuum seal in this. So without it, it tends to splash a little bit. And we don't wanna get pomegranate juice on our clothes. I know I don't. So just about like 15 seconds or so, as hard as you can shake, because that's the harder you shake it, the more foam you're gonna get in your drink. And this is part of your workout again. Woo! It is a workout. All right. So now we're gonna add some ice so that we can shake it again a second time, and that'll make it nice and cool. We're gonna add some ice to the cocktail shaker. And then shake it again for like 15 to 30 seconds or so, just to cool it down and really get the foam activated. All right, it's not splashing, so. All right. Woo! See, I bet you didn't think you'd also get a workout in this class. Oh. So for this one, I'm going to use a martini glass. You can use a short glass, martini glass, whatever floats your boat. And then go ahead and strain it. And then like hold on to the top of this cocktail shaker so it doesn't break the glass and fall everywhere. Go ahead and shake out as much foam as you can. Should get a good like 1/2 inch or so layer of foam on the top. See how pretty that is? All right. And then again, how do we make this pretty and special, right? So I like to garnish it with like a rosemary spray. Go ahead and garnish it here. And then as you take your drink, you'll kind of smell the rosemary. And then it'll kind of enhance the flavor of the rosemary honey simple syrup in it. And that is your pomegranate cloud. Cheers. Mm. See, it just feels fancier when it's in a martini glass, doesn't it? I like it. All right. I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to grab my screen here so you can see you guys. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so your next tip for cutting back on alcohol. So a lot of times we are reaching for a drink because we want to unwind and relax, right? So if we're cutting out drinking and you still want something to relax or unwind with, I'm going to challenge you to think of another activity that gives you that same feeling. So what activity leaves you feeling relaxed? Is it reading? Is it a bubble bath where you shut the door and shut out your whole family because you just need a moment to yourself? Is it a cup of tea? Also, another idea that a client of mine had one time that I thought was really fun was a CBD mocktail. So she would either have like a seltzer or you can make one of these drinks, and she would just put a little bit of a CBD tincture in there once in a while as a special treat. So it just felt like she was having something a little bit more without having to indulge in the alcohol. I thought that was a really fun idea. And also similar to what we were just talking about, right? How do we make this feel a little bit extra special? You know, one of my clients had a goal of cutting back on having wine every night. So she made these mocktails that I shared actually in the class last year. And she loved them so much, she kept making them. And then she got pregnant shortly after we started working together. And obviously, she couldn't have the wine anymore, but she still wanted to have some sort of like ritual to unwind at the end of the evening after a stressful day at work. And she loved these mocktails so much, she made them for her baby shower. And a lot of time in our coaching sessions, we're going deeper as to why we always feel the need to reach for that thing to relax us and figuring out, you know, how can we cultivate some healthier habits that help us to naturally relax and make space for ourselves so that we aren't relying on the glass of wine or whatever it is that we're using in order to relax. Oh, and then gardening, Alice. Oh, that's a good one. I know one of my friends is a very amazing gardener. I cannot keep things alive to save my life. I don't have a yard, but I have these potted plants, these herbs that I've been growing over here. But I bought them yesterday because the other ones before were so dead because I couldn't keep them alive. So I wish I found gardening to be relaxing, but it stresses me out a little bit. So yeah, everybody's different. All right, so let me take a sip of my water really quick, or my tea. All right, so if it's okay with you guys, before we mix up our third and final drink, I just wanted to share a little bit more about my program, just in case you're looking for more support and accountability to help you kick the comfort eating habit and get your health back on track again. So cutting back on alcohol is just one way to start taking control of your health. It can make a really, really big difference. Better, deeper sleep, brighter skin, less fatigue and more energy, better brain function. You're not ingesting loads of excess calories, which for a lot of people could mean weight loss. And you can save a lot of money. I mean, think of how much money you would save if you weren't buying bottles of wine or $20 cocktails when you go out to dinner. I mean, that can really add up. And there's a lot of other places that you can start to begin to get your health back on track, but it can feel very overwhelming if you're trying to figure it all out all by yourself. So my most successful clients come to me with goals that they want to reach and a willingness to put the time and effort in them to reach it. Because success, unfortunately, just does not happen with the poof of a magic wand or a magic pill. I really wish it did. And if anyone's telling you that they can, like, run the other direction. But they also know that they just need the right kind of support and accountability to just give them a nudge in the right direction, and that just doing it all on their own isn't working right now. They're busy professionals with a lot going on, but they understand that, you know, making this time for themselves and prioritizing their health and self-care actually can help you stress less and be even more productive. So this is for you if you would love a sense of balance when it comes to food and exercise, but it kind of feels like this all or nothing. Maybe you dream of having confidence to wear the clothes that you want to wear. You want to wear those tank tops or fitted tops around your stomach, and you don't want to feel self-conscious about it. You want to feel actually excited to get dressed up again. Or the stress of everything that you have on your plate is kind of weighing on you, and it just feels easier right now to reach for either the cookies or a glass of wine or three in order to relax. And instead, you would like to feel confident with how you look and feel comfortable in your clothes. And you want to have energy for the things that you want to do instead of feeling burned out by the end of the day. And you want to prove to yourself that you are somebody who exercises and actually enjoys it, because yes, that is possible. And you want to stop feeling consumed by thoughts around food and create healthier eating habits that make you feel good about your body. So if those are you, I would love to invite you to a free intro coaching call. This free call is the perfect next step in case you are just figuring out, you know, how do I get my health back on track? Where do I start? If you're curious about working together one-on-one, this is the perfect next step. So in my one-on-one program, you're going to have private coaching designed to help you go from stuck in a rut to feeling confident and fitting better in your clothes again. Accountability from me each week so that you can stay on track and feel that sense of accomplishment, knowing that you followed through on your food and workout plan. And structure and support so you can stay motivated and consistent, even when shit hits the fan and things do not go according to plan, because I guarantee you they will at times. And the way we make that happen is through one-on-one coaching sessions every other week on a month-to-month basis for as long as you need. The opportunity to get support from me in between sessions if you're having an off week, as well as personal check-ins from me to help you stay on track. Lessons and sensory exercises in our coaching sessions to give you new tools and new information to help cultivate better habits. And various handouts, recipes, and resources that are curated for you so that you have exactly what you need every step of the way. So you might hear that and think, well, yeah, Jillian, that sounds all great, right? But does it actually work? Valid question. So I just want to share with you really quick a couple of snippets from my clients just to see like what they've experienced and see what's possible. So this is from one of my ongoing clients, Alice, who I've been working with for the past year and a half. And she recently said, since working with Jillian, I'm thoughtful about my behavior with food. I'm now able to trust myself when it comes to what foods I eat. That was really big for her. She also said, I have also begun to realize that I don't hate exercise. There is movement and activities that I really enjoy. Last weekend, I was talking with a friend, and she literally stated the best thing you ever did was start working with Jillian. The difference I've seen in you in that amount of time is huge. Weeks I feel like I've made no progress, only to meet with Jillian and leave the session understanding that I actually have achieved so much. And when I read this is actually just part of the longer testimonial, and when I read it, I cried because I love my clients so dearly. I'm very close with them. But you might also be thinking, I don't have time to work with a coach. I'm busy. I completely hear you on that. I'm busy too. But a lot of the work that we do in our coaching sessions isn't just around food and exercise. That's really just one part of it. A big part of it is really around minimizing your stress, helping you prioritize and help manage your time so you can actually focus on the things that you truly care about and make time for those instead of all the shoulds that are on your list. Just like my client, Allie, who shared this after working together for a year, I feel exceptionally less stressed and better equipped to manage my stress. Most importantly, and something that was never on my radar, I have made time for myself. I've started to say no to obligations and put myself first. I'm able to set aside time for myself to make sure that I'm okay and set up for success. That's what Alice said. So if any of that resonates with you at all, if you're ready to break the habit of comfort eating, kind of get your health back on track once and for all this year, I would really love to invite you to a free intro coaching call. We're going to get to know each other, just discuss what your goals are, what maybe is holding you back, figure out a path forward. And if it's a good fit, I will share with you how you can become a client if that's what you choose. If you're not into it and it doesn't feel like a good fit, that's totally fine as well. And I'll share another step forward that I think would maybe help you go in the right direction. And because you signed up for this Mocktail class, I'm actually opening up spots for these free calls sooner. Normally, I don't do this for another month or so, but you guys get some free early access. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this link into the chat so that you have it. Sorry, it's taking me a second. All right. So there's the link. And I really appreciate you letting me share this with you. So a few years ago, I actually quit my career in fashion to pursue health coaching because I really just wanted to help make more of a positive impact on people. And I wanted to put more good out into the world instead of just more crap that the fashion industry tends to do. So I really thank you for being here, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, for helping me make that vision a reality. So let's go ahead and make the third and final mocktail, the raspberry rosé sangria. This one's very easy, but I love it so much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Move this over here. A lot of acrobatics with this presentation. Moving it around. Okay. Raspberry, rosé, sangria. Oh, just kidding. Before I do that, I'm going to paste into the chat, just in case you're following along, the tools and ingredients list so that you have that. This is also in the handouts that I sent you guys, and you're going to get it in the email after as well, but can never have it too much. So. Okay. Raspberry rosé sangria. So we're going to need a pitcher for this one. This is a chop and dump situation. So this is a very easy one to make. We're going to chop up 1 orange, half a grapefruit. We're going to put some raspberries and rosemary sprigs in there, and then we'll put the liquid. So first, let's chop up 1 orange. We got 1 orange here. And make sure these are all washed and ready to go, because you're going to be putting this in the drink. You don't want, like, dirty citrus going in there. Go ahead and chop this up. I chop it into, like, I don't know, 6, 8 pieces per orange, whatever you need to fit into the pitcher and into the glasses. And dump it on in the pitcher. And then we're going to do half of a grapefruit, depending on how big they are. If it's a tiny little grapefruit, you could probably fit more, but I'm going to chop this. And citrus tends to kind of fly everywhere. It's worth the mess, I promise. So good. And this one makes several drinks, because you're going to be using a whole bottle. So in goes, oh my God, that almost got me. This is a very juicy grapefruit. Okay. So we've got the grapefruit and the orange in here. And now we're going to put some raspberries, because I mean, it is raspberry rosé sangria after all. Let's do like half a pint, whatever you think will fit. My pitcher's a little on the small side. Go ahead and dump raspberries in there. And I like to add fresh rosemary sprigs in there as well, because I think it just makes it really pretty and, helps enhance the flavor and the smell. And now we're going to add some of that simple syrup that we made. So we have just about 2 ounces of the rosemary honey simple syrup that we made earlier. I'm just going to eyeball it, but you can measure about 2 ounces. You can do more or less depending on how sweet you like it or not sweet. But this wine, or non-alcoholic wine that we're using, is not sweet at all. I think it has 4 grams of sugar. Minimal. All right, so we've got the rosemary, raspberries, oranges, well, a orange and half a grapefruit, and the simple syrup. Now, the star of the show, this Naughty, that's the brand, Naughty Sparkling Rosé, non-alcoholic sparkling rosé. So this is actually wine that they de-alcoholize. I don't think I'm saying that right. They take the alcohol out of the wine. So this is alcohol-free. I put this earlier here. And we're just going to pour this entire bottle, if it'll fit, into the pitcher. And if you drink this straight, like 1-to-1 to replace alcohol, I mean, You can tell by the taste that it's obviously not alcohol, right? But I think it's pretty good. But that is why I think it's a really great way to make like a sangria out of it and like zhuzh it up a little bit. It just enhances the flavor and it makes it more special too. So go ahead and just stir it all up once you've got all the ingredients in there. Look how pretty that is. It's all pink. This would be so good for a party if you have some people that you know don't drink and you don't want to just serve them water, you know? Something that's a little bit more special. I like have grapefruit citrus pieces like all over me. You may need to take a shower after. And just go ahead and pour it into a glass, a wine glass. Maybe like halfway-ish or so. Make sure. Oh, I thought I saw somebody coming into the waiting room. Okay. Get some pieces of fruit to put into your glass. You can garnish it with a few extra little raspberries. And then I like to top it off with a little bit of sparkling water. And don't pour it into the pitcher unless you know for sure you're going to drink the whole thing. But that way, in case you don't drink the entire pitcher, you can keep it for like a day or two if it lasts that long. And the seltzer you'll just add to the glass so that it doesn't go flat. And there you go, raspberry rosé sangria. Cheers. And this non-alcoholic wine has only 25 calories. I'm not a big calorie counter, but I think it's good to be aware because not many people are aware that wine can have anywhere between like 100, 150 calories a glass. So if you have this, it has far less sugar, doesn't have the alcohol, obviously, which has all sorts of other effects on our bodies, and way less calories, and you get to enjoy it. So cheers. I like that one a lot. And like I said, this would be so good for like a baby shower or a party or something. Just have something special for those people. Like how nice is it when people see that you've taken extra care to think of them, you know? All right. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. Okay, so final tip for cutting back on alcohol is kind of what we're doing here right now. It's using these alcohol-free wines and spirits that are on the market. They've become very trendy. I actually hesitated to add this one to the list of on the menu, just because I know like a $26 bottle of, de-alcoholized wine can be prohibitive for some people. But I just thought it'd be a really great thing to share with you to show you what all is out there on the market for you to try. I know before I started diving into all of this, I wasn't aware of what all was available and the options that are out there. So I think it's great to just experiment, see what you like, see what you don't like, because there's definitely, some quality ones and some not so great ones. So just see what's out there, see what you enjoy. Another great idea that I've seen people do before is to cut the amount of alcohol that's in your drink by half by having like, let's just say you're making a margarita or something and you have half regular tequila, like 1 ounce of tequila and 1 ounce of the tequila alternative that's non-alcoholic. That way you're cutting back on the alcohol at least, if that's your goal. So I would love if you guys took a picture with your drink. Go ahead and find me on Instagram and tag me. I'm at Jillian Beck-Rogers. I would love it if you came over there and said hi. We could be Instagram friends. Go ahead and tag me, post your pictures. And also, I just love to open it up to Q&A, just in case you guys have any other questions for me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so I can actually see. But just let me know in the chat or raise your hand if you have any questions. I'd also just love to know, what was your favorite drink? Or do you have like a favorite tip? Is there a drink that you're excited to try? One, two, or three that you might be leaning towards? I know my favorite is the citrus ginger fizz. I think this one is my favorite because I just love something that is super tart and a little bit spicy. And like I said, really to kick that cold, this is a great one for that. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and if you are interested in a one-on-one call, just to take take a step further to kind of getting your health back on track, seeing what step might be best for you to take next, I'd love to invite you to that free intro coaching session. There's no pressure whatsoever. I think it's just so helpful. People have told me they get so much just out of this one call. So if you're thinking about it, take me up on it. It's free. Put that in the chat there. And I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you had fun. I hope you try these drinks and enjoy them. Let me know what you think. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and enjoy your Friday. So have a good weekend and thanks for joining me, guys. Cheers. Bye.